Major development today in a massive federal investigation involving an alleged Ponzi scheme operating right here in Central Florida.
Yeah, Greg, we first told you on Eyewitness News this morning the feds are moving to seize the largest assets linked to the only person currently facing a criminal complaint in this case, Christopher Delgado. This all comes just days after I took you inside of Delgado's $8.5 million home in the affluent Isleworth community of Windermere. But take a look at this map. You can see his other properties spread across Central Florida. The feds say he bought them all with other people's cash, totaling close to $20 million. Christopher Delgado, the former CEO of Goliath Ventures, had a home in just about every corner of Central Florida and cars only big money can buy. Now the federal government has filed this civil case triggering the process of seizing it all, including this luxury home in the exclusive Windsong neighborhood of Winter Park, another in Winter Garden, Kissimmee, Sanford, Apopka, and this $8.5 million mansion in the prestigious Isleworth community of Windermere, which is where we spoke exclusively to Delgado in recent weeks about the criminal complaint against him.
Part of me wishes I kept renting. You know, the rent would have been paid for, it was a year in advance. It's a beautiful home and would have had $8.5 million.
The feds will try to resell it all at auction for full value, along with this office space he purchased for $3.1 million from a high-profile attorney in Orlando that he showed us work was already underway to build out what would have been the headquarters for Goliath Ventures. These properties and cars, the government says, was purchased with money traceable to fraud proceeds obtained through Goliath. Andy Searle is a former federal prosecutor.
This does not mean that Christopher Delgado has to vacate that Isleworth mansion or give up any of these properties or cars right away.
So this would be the first step in that process of the government actually seizing and forfeiting this property and then ultimately liquidating the property.
Federal investigators say Delgado opened at least 30 bank accounts, tracing deposits at J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, and Luminant Bank, totaling about $400 million. Investigators say Delgado lured people into Goliath who were willing to invest a minimum of $100,000 into a cryptocurrency fund with a promise of monthly returns of 3 to 8%. Investigators say early investors were paid with new investors' cash, and Delgado and his alleged co-conspirators, who still haven't been named, lived a life of luxury until the Ponzi scheme fell apart late last year.
How likely is it that they will be able to recover the full value of these large assets?
I would say that they are motivated to try to make the victims whole. That is supposed to be the mission of the Department of Justice.
Coming up here on Eyewitness News at 6, there is something that complicates seizing and reselling these assets. Some of them he owns with his wife, and her name is attached to the legal records.